a 13-7 on that map of Haven, and it goes the way of Sad. But honestly, this is not the way that this map started. It was a 5-7 half for them, and then 8 rounds in a row on that second half. Roy, they look amazing and also so annoying to play against.
One enemy remaining.
Oh wow, this happened to me finally. Yes, I've been waiting for the moment I actually mess up my mic.
Rite of passage.
But I was actually saying that I mean, yeah, 5 of the rounds that they won in their first half were thrifties. That is an understatement about their shakiness, right? But then they go into the second half and they put on what I would consider an absolute masterclass.
Yeah, Matt.
They look insane.
Insane, absolutely insane. I mean, masterclass for sure. These guys had a game plan around their deadlock utility, and they executed it to perfection. TSM seemed to really struggle against this. I mean, his big focus on getting onto the site, using that deadlock wall to block off the retake choke point, using the grab net to take some space, and then using the deadlock trip to really shut down the retake as well. And you know, Roy, you touched on it a little bit when we were off cam about how it's kind of like having a pocket breach, right? You know, it's another character to really help you lock down that site once you take it. And that's where I think TSM made the mistake. You know, they're letting these guys take a main space and executing out onto the site and trying to play this retake style, but playing the retake style against the deadlock is extremely hard.
Yeah, I mean, they just couldn't really find what the solution was in the moment, right? And like we talked about this as well, is how much practice have you really had against these kind of like ISO plus second duelist compositions, right? And they just really in the moment, they seemed like they could not come to the solution. They weren't able to get any of that util out early, and it seemed like Sad, no matter where they wanted to go, they just had so much utility to expend on the site, and they just, again, yeah, as soon as they get in that postman, Deadlock's value is somehow exponential, right? Like there's so much layers of utility you have to get through. There are stun sensors in places you never expect. And they again, an absolute masterclass on their attack side. But now we're going to be going into the second map, Bind, right? Where it's like, what are we expecting from these two teams? You know, have there been any changes? Are they sticking to their Cypher comp on the Sad side? Are they sticking to the Deadlock comp on the TSM side? Right? Like there's going to be so many differences happening here.
We could definitely expect some changes, that's for sure. And it's also one of the points that you guys touched on before we went into this map. I know we had a break, but 10 million years ago, you guys were talking about this, how it was so hard, and it is so hard to know and adapt on the fly when it is a side of Sad that we're running this weird composition that how many times you're playing against in scrims, how used to it are you? And I mean, obviously it was clear that on that second half, on that attacking side for Sad, they were just running with it 8 rounds in a row to close it out. Not a single round that TSM was able to get away with. So my question here is, a TSM that was struggling, how are they able to pick themselves back up, Psycho, when they're going into Bind, and we don't know what Sad are gonna run in this?
Well, I think here, you know, despite the scoreline and Sad really running away with it on the T side, I think this was a much closer affair than the stats indicate. I think TSM really struggled not so much with the individuals, but with the gameplay and the strategy, the tactics, right? They could not come up with a solution to the Deadlock ISO comp and could not get a retake going, could not shut down the early hits. And so really, I think what it's going to come down to in map 2 is, you know, do they have a good game plan that can shut down the strategy of Sad? Because they have the players that can match up the firepower, and it's just a question of, as a team, can they overcome whatever Sad is going to bring to the table?
And it's not easy, because it's this Sad team that not only do they run these compositions and they get away with those scores, but I mean, Roy, you know the players really well, and in the interviews when we get the chance to talk to them, Darkest, for example, one of the players that we interview, and every single time is, yeah, we're winning. Doesn't matter if it's Oxygen, doesn't matter if it's Dark Zero, doesn't matter if it's TSM, no matter what, the confidence is there for the team. They're coming up with these creative ideas, whether it's compositions, the way they're playing out these rounds, and they're getting away with it, so they might as well close it out in 2.
Yeah, I mean, their secret is honestly, their power comes from fun, quote unquote, right? Like, that's why they love just sticking to their style. They don't want to adhere to some like created meta by other teams, right? They want to have their own identity. They like their own style. They like the way they play. They have fun in the way they play, and that's what makes this team kind of annoying to play against, right? Because they just have so much confidence and so much belief in the system and sort of the creativity that they're making.
Yeah, and it's really cool seeing these young up-and-coming players who are really making their names for the first time, right? You have the likes of Guimond and Poised and a Proto on an org like TSM, right? You know, even Seven, like we said, who's had all this experience on several different orgs going back. And then you have guys like Coburg who have played on Roy's Kittens, right? Like this is a drastically different level of player in terms of, you know, experience, right? And it's so really, it's almost like a passing of the torch, I feel like, for these guys to come and play against these older players and say, you know what, we're not going to play the Sova and the Breach. We're gonna run our own kind of comp and forge our own meta and swing our own way and play this Zoomer style that these guys are really struggling with.
It's just something that we've seen in Challengers, but especially sad. They're running with these compositions and nobody else is running. And yeah, a lot of teams, they like to innovate, but they like to do it more than anybody. So for this map of Bind, I feel like we can absolutely expect some surprises. And Roy, I want to ask you, because you know a couple of the guys on the side of SAD, do you think they are, I mean, what is the mentality coming into this map of, you know, we can close it out, we can continue this lower bracket run, let's focus on Bind, let's focus one run at a time. What do you think the team has to go through to make sure they can close it out in 2?
Yeah, I mean, speaking from experience and like playing with these guys formerly, like they're the type of players that are honestly just their power comes from not stressing out. Like if they can just keep it fun, keep it chill, kind of not get like have to come back from like an 8-4, like 8-0 lead or 8-4 lead, right? Like as long as the gap is tiny and they're able to still have fun and not stress out too much, they're usually having a pretty good time, and that's sort of when the flow, like their flow state kicks in. But again, when it comes to Bind, a map that is like very synergy heavy, like you have to kind of synergize both A side and the B side of the map, right? Especially with the teleporters, like that team synergy, that micro synergy is going to be a very important factor in whether they are looking great or looking kind of in shambles.
Yeah, and for a Vibes team like that, I mean, closing out the first map of a best of 3 so dominantly just has to give them so much momentum going into
for sure,
map, right? Tons of confidence. These guys are going to be, I think, playing at their peak, and as long as they can get, you know, a good start to the series, or to the map rather, maybe get that pistol round, I think that they'll be looking good going into the end of this map.
You to get that momentum going. This is something that TSM need, but SAD, they just get. In all the matches that we've seen them, in all those upsets that they've gotten throughout the years, from that first split when they had Bob, when they had a different roster, to the roster that we're looking at right now, they are playing their own game. They are making sure that they're grabbing onto the playstyle that they want to bring, and they're able to implement it throughout. So that's something that I feel like for SAD, it comes a little bit easier with the points that you guys are mentioning of, you know, they're coming with the momentum for the last map, and they're also the team to grab it and bring that momentum whenever. While TSM, I feel like they get some high moments, but they definitely struggle, Roy. So I think it's a difficult point for TSM. I think it's going to depend a lot on the IGLing for what they can do on this map of Bind, especially a map that we known for how those calls, the synergy that you guys are calling out, is going to look like. But it's going to depend on a lot more if they want to actually close out the series.
Yeah, and I think Bind is a perfect map for TSM to kind of shine in their strengths, right? Like double down on it, because they're the type of team that finds their success when they're pushing and pulling, and like they're getting the lurkers up in really good spots, and they're kind of allowing the map to unfold naturally. And I feel like on Bind, that is such an easy map, right? Because the defaults are just kind of easy to run, right? Like long B defaults, shower defaults, like have a lurker shore. Sometimes it's a 4-1. Like these kind of like spread variations are really, really intuitive on Bind, and I think that sort of playstyle suits them, and that's why I'm not really surprised to see that they would take it to a map like Bind.
Yeah, no mid, man. Gotta love Bind.
No mid.
There's no mid. You either go A or you go B, right? And it makes these spread defaults a lot more straightforward. You know, the job of your lurker is very clear cut. So, you know, I like the defaults that SAD we're bringing to the table on Haven, right? Very innovative. You know, really good tempo changes. They mixed in some slow A hits into A pops, and then straight into a C pop right off the bat. You know, I expect this kind of tempo dominance to be something that SAD will need to retain going into this second map against TSM if they want to overcome them, because TSM have a lot of veterans on this team who know how to play Bind, who know to play VALORANT in general, right? And really controlling the tempo against them is going to be really important for getting the win.
Well, the players are almost ready, so I'm going to grab this time and ask you guys, what are the predictions? Have they changed? Is this going to be a 2-0 for SAD? Is this going to be a 2-1 for TSM? How is it looking? Roy, you first.
I'm first? Okay. Why am I always first? But I'll do it anyway. I feel like something is tingling and it's telling me that this is going to be a 3-map series. We're about to go the distance on both of these remaining maps. And then at the end, we're all going to be blown away, I think.
What? By what?
by we won't know. We're gonna be on the edge of our seats the entire time, and then
twists
you
and
know what I
turns.
mean. It's gonna come down to something crazy, probably a thrifty, if, you know, keep it an NA, but we'll see.
This guy hates making predictions. He hates it so much. What about you, Psycho?
I don't know. You know, I said in my predictions going into the match that it was going to be sad, and I still think it's going to be sad. I think TSM have the individuals to get the job done, but so far their team play has been lacking. The strategy is just coming up a little bit short. So SAD have the momentum right now. I think they have the more innovative comps and strategy, and as long as they can carry that into bind, I think they take this series 2-0.
I'm thinking it's going to be a sad 2-0. I didn't make predictions. I'm going to be honest. I didn't do my homework. I didn't submit them. But
shame.
if I did, I was going to put a sad win, because I feel like throughout the year, we've doubted this team so many times. I mean, I know they had some rough matches. When they're struggling, you can really see that they're struggling. But when they're looking good, they get these upsets that nobody is expecting. And I feel like this is one of the teams that you need to keep your eyes on for everybody watching, because they can turn up whenever. And when it's a lower bracket run, when you're facing and you're close to elimination, you want to have those dominant scores to make that run. So, Roy, I think SAD got the win here.
Okay. I predicted TSM, so I'm gonna stick to it just for consistency's sake. Somehow I've bamboozled you guys into going first, but I think the agent select is ready, so I am very curious to see what they're gonna be selecting.
Let's go into the agent select. Let's see what the teams are going to be running, if the compositions are going to remain the same or they're going to change up just a little bit. We talked about how annoying the deadlock was in the last map for SAD, but now it is going to be a TSM playing this deadlock once again with that Proto.
Yeah, this is going to be, this is the same compositions for both teams, right? There are no changes. So right here, it's all about the prep work, because now there's no surprises, there's no twists and turns. It's going to be completely drawn out. It's really all about which team shows up and which team is going to play their compositions to their strengths.
Yep, no cheese here, just straightforward Valorant. Each team has seen VODs of the other team on how they like to play these comps on this map, so there should be no surprises. There should be a good head-to-head match where we'll be able to see, who's the better team and who has the better game plan coming into this.
The preparation is everything for this lower bracket. If you want to make that run and if you want to make it to Ascension, we're going to see which one of us are right when it comes to the predictions. Is it going to be a 3-mapper or is SAD going to close it in 2? Casters, let's find out.
Yeah, it should be an interesting one. I think the thing here, we have to kind of throw out into the picture is, yes, this is the same composition for both teams, but let's be candid. SAD Esports really hasn't played anyone besides Blinn on this map. So has it actually gotten this actual strength test that we're going to see from TSM running a little bit more unorthodoxical composition that has seen the light of some of the top teams in VCT?
Yeah, we'll have to see. SAD, as you said, they've played Blinn on this a couple times, and that's really it. Yeah. They have not played this map all too much, and interestingly, it's the only map I've seen them play where they're not trying to reinvent the wheel. They're just coming in with some pretty standard stuff. All of the usual suspect agents that we've seen on this map for years at this point. And yet TSM, with that slight mix-up, bringing in the deadlock, which obviously we just saw on full display how effective that is in post-plant. So expecting to see more of the same when TSM get onto their attacking side.
Interesting little stack up into the smoke. And, well, TSM are very fully prepared for it. An extra flash just to try to follow up is for boys, and that will work. So opening antics from SAD Esports, not going to go as planned. And it's just down to Darkus and Diff trying to manage this 2v4. Spike is down very visibly outside the smoke. One little top flash moment gives Darkus the chance at this, but gets caught topside box. Now down to just a single point worth of health, essentially. And a tough navigation of the 1v2 from here.
Would be able to one-tap Sim if he can find a headshot, but a Proto with the armor as well, that's going to be very difficult for Darkus to deal with on his lonesome. Due to those nice shots from GMT, who's really been the consistent component of TSM for me this year. Him and Seven have been very reliable. Sim has had those very high highs at times, but I'm looking at those two to be really the foundational elements of this team. Should be able to shut down Darkus here with ease, though. Should make some miracle happen.
I say he's put this post plant into a tricky spot to where Sim is going to have to worry about long, he's going to have to worry about elbow, and he's going to have to worry about the defensive spawn here. So Darkus is giving himself a bit of a lifeline. Also keep in mind, the Poison Cloud plus Snakebite could work out here as well for him. He's going to hear Proto on the dash across. Hold on a second. Darkus may have a good look at this. Sim's going to stick it, and Proto will cover. So, never mind. Looked like it was a good setup initially.
No. You were building, you were ramping up to the moment, you were ready to pop off. I could feel it. You had me believing, but for a lot of good reasons. He did play that very well. There was genuine reason to believe. All right, but TSM are going to stop the bleeding that incurred from that previous map and begin on the right foot on Bind, their map pick. Or hopefully they can display a better level of fundamentals. Things were really crumbling for them on Haven. Need to get their heads back in the game. As of right now, they haven't won a map yet in the playoffs. It's been a tumultuous season for them. They need to peak right now, end on a high, or else their hopes of making it to Ascension are over. One of these two teams, they will be going home.
Well, Sad looking to stay active here with a force buy setup here to run number 2. The problem is, Seven is watching this Hookah play with a Guardian, and the follow-up from the Bulldog makes these trades very quick for TSM, and now also through the teleporter. Just too slow to turn for this is Sad Esports, but Ferb's a little bit of a lifeline here. We'll see a bit of an upgrade, and he's able to find 4 so far in the round. Now it's just down to a 1v1, and whoa! Seven absolutely blows Ferbsa straight out of Hookah with a one-tap from absolutely Narnia.
That was a savage shot from Seven at the end. Ferbsa starting to rather heat up a bit. Despite that, Haven win was a little slow for a player that I have a lot of respect for, a newcomer to the Challengers scene. Does significant damage to the TSM economy. Look at this right now. Their buy is basically a buy for real. Outside of Seven carrying over the Guardian, they've invested into this. And it's because Sad, they invested as well, right? Yep. They've just got the sheriffs, but it's going to keep their economy hanging in the balance.
Agreed. Now, come on, playing off an off angle, and Hookah flashes out, and it's a fake flash, and it pulls Command into a very tricky spot. Teleport on the opposite side, though, with the combination of the grab net. Absolutely perfect for TSM to still surround and keep control of Hookah.
That's a nice little sink of utility through the teleporter. That's the utility combo as old as time in Valorant. The nade through the teleporter. I remember watching that in like the pros versus devs match, like the alpha. That's the classic util play on Bind. Sad should be able to get the spike down though, boost their economy just a bit. Hope to deal some more damage here. They can keep TSMs very low if they do.
Yeah. Well, Trailblazer right through the sky smoke placed. Coburg looking to isolate, and the trap wire, well, it does connect to the Trailblazer, so it forces the hand of Coburg to check, and then in towards the cyber cage. Nothing to be found there for Ferbsa. So clean round here for TSM, and I think the question mark here as we start to get into full gun rounds is what part of the map does Sad want to try to utilize as their setup point? Because we've seen this focus through Hookah immediately get countered by utility, and whether it's full weapons or not, that's going to be the case every single time. It almost feels like you've got to put a little pressure through mid-A, try to get that short side completely set up for you. Maybe try to force something out of Proto earlier, because if he's using that over the top of mid, it just feels like it's just going to be too difficult to work into these pinch points through like Hookah, for instance.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct.
We set the tempo, not them.
Looks like Sad right now want to try and pressure towards Hookah on this round with Dip and Scar, and maybe use the Trailblazer to get in there, or just contact through Boombot, same usage as the other. Flash comes through, doesn't get that ping either, so seems like Hookah could be a bit vacant, though there's now been enough time for someone to jump up. Sad have intentions going towards A, though. Deep Cam and Shower gets a nice bit of information for their caller.
A long peek from Seven that will scout out a little bit of intel over through short, but this is just good discipline from a Proto, still holding on to his utility. He knows that this barrier mesh is going to block off everything except for this little route by Sim. He's trying to find timing, hovering on the corner. Oh, just a brilliant snap, but Darkest able to find the trade, allows a chance to plan here. Mosh is through, but Darkest still sticks. The spike will go down 4v4.
Sad are trying to retreat play around this pit that does just cover the spike. Skarn might be taking that first duel, trying to push up close.
Well, the wingman gets denied. Dark is still holding inside the Viper's pit. 17 down quickly. Also on the corner. Oh, come on, should have been dead to rights, but Scarred whips on it. So now Darkest will see the Viper's pit fall, cannot reestablish the integrity. Dicto on the corner as the toxic screen will perish, leaves Gramond by himself, and he gets caught finessing between Molly and Weapon. So Sad got on the board, and that's a little bit more like it. Stretch out the defense, put a little bit extra pressure on them, and then eventually hit them where it hurts the most.
I loved that timing for the drop of the Viper's pit, simultaneous with, I believe that was Ferbsa over towards Shower, swings out as it drops. Able to get the backstab on the players who were lost in that pit, trying to find a time to tap the spike, but also focus forward, and then they just get shot in the back by the lurk. Nicely executed by the SAD team, and because of all that prior damage, look at the TSM economy right now.
Yeah.
It is in the drain. They need to win this round. They have a ton of ultimates to do so, but if they pop those ults and lose this round, dire for their chances early on defense.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those rounds that can swing the tide of how the map has gone to this point. Very much out. Well, bold challenge for Proto, but it works out. Ferbsa drops that is now Shower is essentially controlled for TSM. They won't know it, though, with this barrier mesh and sensor place at the front doors. Oh, and interesting. Sim just kind of overstays the welcome through mid. Here's the flash once again to Gomon. He's able to go 1-for-1, but that's enough for SAD Esports to get control of Hookah and likely also the B site.
Kind of funny that 2 times now, Gimon has had to go up against that same Hookah take play with the Skybird to the left that doesn't pop and then gets double swung. This time at least does get his. Seven has the Thrash for the retake. Here it comes. Shouldn't be able to ping anyone out, actually get a stun, but will re-clear.
Oh, but over towards the Octagon. I was about to say trouble here.
Right here.
For Darkest, but backs up to safety. Coburg watching the angle. Follow-up is good. Nice little double swing coming through. Little bait and switch, if you will, actually, is Seven now left with him and the wingman. Stuck kind of between Hookah and the backside of Garden, and the extra tag, maybe a chance to try to isolate, but Darkest, the quick swing comes through, and SAD Esports mitigate out the Thrash and take a second round. A massive swing in how this map is going so far.
A pivotal round one. I mean, really the only consolation is that TSM didn't invest more into trying to win that. They do retain those other 2 big ultimates they had coming into the round with the Showstopper and the Orbital Strike, and now have the Annihilation for the future, poised about to get the Seekers for a future round 2. I mean, hell, if they find a pick in this round, they might try to full send it and swing things right back in their favor by taking an eco. So this is still very dangerous for SAD, despite going up against, mostly Sheriffs.
Yep. Oh, it's going to be a triple stack over through Hookah. SAD are still playing passive around this, though, and the trades are, even. Thought for a second that the 2 players lingering at Sands was going to deal with it, but the last peak and the last word goes to Gomon as we get to a 3v3.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, a Protoss Annihilation could totally change the outcome of this round in a 3v3. Maybe find an opportunity to get an easy kill with that on someone planting the spike or in an obvious post-plant, kind of corner position. This is doable for TSM. They can swing the game right back.
Yeah, and the proactivity of Gomond swinging back around through Sands, depending on the timing, this could work out brilliantly, but the neural theft will block all of that. And that is enough for Ferbsa and the rest of SAD Esports to jump on into B-side Darkest with a quick plant. Annihilation trying to come through, but does not clear anything out over towards... Actually, more to be does, and hits onto Coburg. But SAD still fought a couple of kills. Coburg stays safe just in front of the connector. And now the Orbital Strike, if they want to use it to block off the front doors, Spike a second chance to try to be dropped in.
And that's just going to be the teleport over. Ferbsa temporarily stunned. 20 seconds. This is giving TSM some time to rotate in.
Cross 15. Wait, what doesn't matter. Proto, good shots come through. Orbital Strike has to be forced. 12 seconds on the clock. 7. Playing inside and around U-Haul.
10 seconds left.
As Coburg on the corner doesn't quite see the barrel initially, but now does. A chance, but not going to come through as SAD Esports survived through a mixy round with the Sheriffs for SAD Esports now tying us at 3.
A valiant effort from TSM, committing some of their ultimates into that, some of the tools to try and swing things back, and you can't be mad at the effort after trading down 2-2, or 3-3 rather. But unfortunately, it doesn't go their way. And SAD will be more than happy to have gotten those massive win cons out of their hands.
critical round again here automatically, but ooh, careful, showstopper thrown out early, blast back into the corner, 7 shuts it down before the trigger can be pulled, and now TSM want to try to use the Trailblazer to isolate on the dip, and that will work out. All Sad tried to play with a little bit of tempo, not going to work out, and now they walk right into the waiting arms of Sim with the operator in hand, and a 5v2 starts to accrue early. Burb's able to find one, and whoa, maybe a proto for the isolation onto another, but no, too good from the position, and that will leave Cobra in a 1v4.
I love TSM capitalizing off that kill that they got onto Skarn by just getting another onto dip, a proto cleaning things up onto Cobra at the very end. But that hookah fight was really the tail of the round earlier on. It felt like Skarn pretty much missed that timing window to try and get in, and then tried to overcompensate by over pushing. And then in that moment, it's like, well, do you want to wait for Dip to throw in another guiding light to get back into hookah? But then also it's possible that if you wait, you use the guiding light, get back in, and at that point, all of TSM have just scurried back into the site. You've wasted the ult and the utility, haven't gotten anything to show for it. So it just becomes so awkward, completely caught. Big round from TSM, and interestingly enough, I think Sad's economy was actually on the line in that round. Yep. They'll either have a terrible buy here or like a pretty shoddy buy, or will be saving. Just because of how much damage both these teams have been doing to each other, none of these rounds have been washes. They've all been scrappy, coming down to just a couple players alive. So it's just got things in this state where it's going back and forth.
I'm here for it. After the absolutely unreal composition on Haven, I'm here for a little bit of you have one, I have one. We'll just kind of keep trading it. I think the thing about this for Sad is, they're trying to kind of catch TSM on timings. In the early stages, it was about seeing maybe, and kind of where they got the 3 rounds in a row, round 4 and 5 in particular, is can we put extra stress on a proto to use his utility earlier? Last 2 rounds have been kind of more gut check, let's play with some aggression. So they're trying to diversify the looks, at least what they've been able to put together. Really, I think the biggest thing about this is there hasn't been a critical battle over for showers yet. That has been the one area of the map that has been pretty cool in terms of how the heat map has gone.
It's really just come down to Ferbsa trying to go up, find a timing, throw down the cam. There's the barrier mesh. No one's really fighting actively for it, which in a way is kind of just inadvertently giving the better end of the stick to Sad, who now just intend on exploding into the B site.
Yeah. But wow, the Seekers on both sides find actually tremendous value. TSM going to shake off the effects, trying to jump in with a stim beacon to assist them, but the trades are decent until Gamon once again has the final word in the battle. Spike will be left just outside the push, and Ferbsa lurking with the Sheriff over towards the opposite side of the map will be left with a 1v3.
TSM can clean this up with ease, which they do. Finally, an opportunity for one of these teams to build up their economy just a bit. With Sim, GMD, and a Proto all being at 2k plus there. Now getting into that 5k range. Might finally be an opportunity for them to extend this lead just a bit. Do a great job of just swinging out of hookah there together, denying that push in its entirety.
Timing of the Seekers was absolutely perfect as well, for what it's worth, because it looked like based on the smokes dropping plus the Seekers to follow, that Sad Esports is going to find their way into sight, but counter just a touch better. Early guiding light pressure here for TSM through hookah. Not going to stall out too much, just able to confirm that Poise is playing backside of the site near the container. One more flash to be spent, and that will be enough for Sad Esports to take control of hookah immediately.
And in the meantime, they're just content with leaving Ferbsa to watch over towards A. They have trips set up for way outside shower in case there is a push there, but that won't come. They're just reliant on Sim right now, TSM, allowing him to just post up, try and find a pick. Not going to reveal his position there, though, as the cloud goes up to give Sad access to deep long.
And keep in mind, if this starts to get mixy, then can pull a shot and then hit the showstopper, but we'll only get one. I was about to say, that could have been a round-winning play right there. But instead, it falls on the rest of the TSM defense, who have the help of some of the setup here from Proto. And yeah, the stim beacon also placed inside the Viper's pit will essentially cancel it completely. Rotate back over, though. We'll see U-Haul's control for Ferbsa, plus a chance for Dip to plant. So this round's not done yet, although it is still looking pretty decent for TSM.
They have a little bit to play with. Some cages for Ferbsa. Might be able to put up a deep cam or something, but now he's ready to stand out in the open and play this weird off angle. This Thrash is going to ruin him, though. Oh, able to break it just in time. Dip picks up the angle.
Dizzy pushes off the play, though. That will allow a chance for TSM to work their way back in. Do they know how close Guimond is? That's the real question now all of a sudden. Wingman spent to clear out U-Hauls. It's still responsible for the front. And hold on a second. Ferbsa is able to catch out one, but inside the cyber cage, this is about, does he just find the headshot? Not going to happen. TSM able to get themselves to 6.
They invest a lot into it, but they did every round they could get. They spent that Thrash, used the showstopper as well, perhaps. A little reckless from Sim popping into that situation after he already got the opening kill, but regardless, the round will end up going their way. Sad relegated to another very bad buy. And given what we saw on the last map as to how effective Deadlock is on attack once you've gotten those sites, you've got to imagine that Sad are going to need a couple more than 3 to make a game out of this.
Yeah, most likely. And the problem is, you don't think that's going to happen around like this, as Sim is going to do something a little bit weird here. Pulls out the Outlaw to try to get things started. Paint Shell to, again, just reaffirm there's some space here, but Lamont gets caught, and the flash over the top allows 7 to at least trade things back. And yeah, against the light purchase, this has been maybe a little bit too easy for the Outlaw of Sim, and that's indeed the case. Ferbsa gives us a fighting chance, though. 1v2, a chance to get a weapon, plus the spike and the neural theft, so he's going to have a chance to make a decision here.
Somehow still every single round going down to the wire. 1v2, absolutely winnable. Ferbsa almost did it on the last round. His odds are a little bit better here.
Yeah.
He can just avoid that Trailblazer. Won't be able to. They've got the info, but catches a timing to cross back. Perfect grab net.
Whoa! Jeez. Thought for a second he was just going to sit there and take it like a man. Nearly did. But poised. Able to utilize the help of the graph, and that's enough to now get TSM to 7. This is the round right here, though. Sad. Kind of feels like I have to have one. You don't want to go down 8-3 with what will likely be a really broken buy situation, so this will be a curious one to see what will happen here if Sad can find any sort of value. They are close to a showstopper, so or pardon me, an orbital strike, so maybe a chance to earn a orb here and give that some post-plant security.
I would like to see them go towards Shower and get that orb. It has been entirely uncontested. I mean, at this point, they have to be 1,000% aware of the fact that a Proto is just playing this very passive, oftentimes lone A setup, leaving the barrier mesh there. And yeah, they are keen to that. You can see Coburg is headed towards Shower right now, going to get that orb, going to get that orbital strike. And when you have the spike down on A, the Molly orbital strike lineup combo, definitely be more than enough to seal the round. They want to use it straight away, though, to take lamps. And now we're into a 5-on-5 retake.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of here for this because we actually get some early sour control as well. So you're essentially forcing that TSM had to hit this from the front. Molly deep over towards the backside at bench. Annihilation catches one, and in that moment, 7 comes out through U-Hauls for free. I mean, we use Orbital Strike to win that position, boys. We have to take it. Oh, not good news. So now it's just down to what Coburg and Ferbsa could do, and they really can't do too much. That just feels like a complete mis-execute right there from Sad.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You said it. Nothing else that I feel like I really need to add on top of that. It is just a mismanagement of the positioning there. It's also just so unfortunate that, at least for Sad's sake, that Annihilation does catch on to Darkest as well. That is unlucky for them. One last opportunity to get a round on the board. They are close to another couple ultimates that they might be able to get online. They have one orb only needed to get the Seekers over for Dip, a couple for the Showstopper too. So we'll see if they try to work that in. They do have the spike on Dip, so intentions for him to get that down.
Oh, but here's something different. You do get the Thrash earned and ready to go. The Proto just trying to delay as long as humanly possible. But ooh, quick route from Skarn. Actually opens up the A site completely. So now all of a sudden you're looking at this Thrash as your only real retake tool. And Sad Esports, surely they don't lose U-Haul again for free.
Nah, doesn't seem likely this time. If they do, it'll be at the cost of a thrash, right? Great time nade from Skarn and a great shot as well. Runs into Showstopper. Oh
Nice.
my god, and a kill.
Massive collateral damage, plus also the extra reveal off the neural theft. And ooh, Seven is fighting back here a second. Deals with the Seekers coming out from dip. How do you break through the rest of this post plant, though? That's the last smoke coming down for Guamon. He still has a molly to play with, and, well, the wingman gets to work trying to do his job the best he can, but Ferbs shuts down all 3 of the remaining players, quote-unquote, and that'll be enough for an 8-4 half as we swap the side.
Switching sides.
Feels like at the very end, Sad finally got an understanding as to how they could try to get some more rounds on the board in a more effective manner, which was exploiting TSM's A setup. It is super light. And when the barrier mesh is being focused basically 100% of the time on Shower, Short is just all too free for them to run down. So it's perhaps just a little too late, though, with that understanding.
Yeah, very true. And the other side, as I'm kind of just looking back over this, like, the offensive side statistically has been the better side, if you want to look at that from Sad Esports. But again, like, we're dealing with a couple of blowaway matchups versus some teams early on in the Night Summer Invitational. So maybe we only really look at what they did versus Blinn, which was more offensively favored. So it doesn't really feel like they got what they came for here in terms of Sad's opening efficiency. Decent battle on the backside as, Skarn is going to get 2 in combination with the grab. Unreal stuff. Kind of locks everyone almost in place for a moment there. Everyone kind of stuck behind that choke point, and that's going to get us to a 3v3.
Looked like he was about to get a third with the nade as well. They're going to be happy that Poise bought his heal on this round. That is some serious value to garner from it. Proto and GMD were so weak. And now they've cut noise. They want to go back towards the B site. Poise does have a bit of utility to work with, but it looks like they may just want to pure contact. This, they run into Coburg and win out that dual long range. Classic even bests him with the Ghost.
And now you can just all hit the teleporter. Only saving grace here for the side of Sad Esports is Ferbsa does have some utility to play off of. The one way is going to be there, hoping and praying that the Ghost will connect with spam shots, but he will be smoked out. Good reveal coming through, plus the trap wire also connects. It's going to allow Darkus to step up. Chance here with the reveal still coming on to Proto. He hasn't taken care of the initial tag, but it doesn't matter. He still swings. I mean, he's revealed the entire time. Madman.
That is a crazy swing from a Proto. I can't believe that. The nade was perfect earlier on from Skarn as well. How does he win that? How does he win that? Fully tripped. That is so silly. All right, and at this point, TSM have got to close this out. Feels like we are destined for the decider map.
I have the spike. I dropped the spike.
Definitely feels that way. I mean, again, it's just the deadlock comps are really starting to get locked in across the board. Paint shells through, but Seven. I mean, how do you stop that? Hello? Just a little double outlaw tap. Now all of a sudden you can get close to having Thrash. Ooh, Dark is clean. Also, good read that there are more nearby, but the timing with Coburg is not there. And that's enough for TSM to get onto site and get the spike planted.
Spike planted.
Ferbs are just on the slow walk up, but more than likely destined for the grave, and that's where he'll go. Third already for Seven. Already has the Thrash now available. That's some serious snowballing that TSM have done. One of the prime benefits of running the Gecko, obviously, is just how many ultimates that you get off during a game with all the plants that you get down using the wingman. So very effective already.
Pop, pop. Outlaw things. Okay. So it's been all TSM at this point, and it doesn't look like this round's going to stop that. And this will be essentially their bonus, but it's going to feel like a full gun round considering the fact that Sad are just on Sheriffs and 1 Stinger, essentially. So you got to kind of produce some of that thrifty madness that we had from the first map after Sad Esports, trying to wiggle your way back into this map. And, well, to be fair, a pretty forward setup for what Ferbs has been able to provide with the double trap wires kind of in front of the A site, and then a stack in towards Hookah with now clearance at B long. I mean, Sad will have a little bit of benefit here towards having some defensive presence, but as the pings go down, TSM are about to hit over towards A.
Just contacting up. We'll have to deal with these kill trips, but walking more slowly in this manner, they will spot those out, be able to dodge around them, break them.
Well, that's decent. A little shutdown off the wingman plant. Makes us a little bit more labor for TSM, but the Thrash gets body blocked it right into the face of one. Leaves now the rest of this defense very split. Ferbs up. Yeah, he's been able to find himself elimination, but he is stuck over towards Showers and Sim. Feeling the presence. Almost goes for the 1v1. Pushed off it for a moment. Now it's just down to where is Coburg, and well, inside the Sky Smoke, as soon as that fades, he may have a chance to actually surprise some of these players here. Over towards Long, he gets the first.
She's still gunning.
Once again, the wingman not able to find the plant. The Thrash doesn't connect either. The Molly's really well placed. Hold on a second, Sad Esports, they have the benefit of the clock in front of them. The Molly works out for the kill, but Seven's around the corner. First of the timing of the peak is good, and Sad Esports will pull off the Blacklight thrifty.
What is happening? Ferbs was able to live for so long in Shower. They were so concerned about Ferbs, so they were waiting for the wingman to come back up to plant, but end up just wasting so much time. Their positioning is so awkward to deal with Coburg coming from short and Ferbs from Shower, that pinch. That is tough from TSM. I don't know how much time there was exactly on the clock. I kind of want to go back and look, because I'm even wondering, could they have just rotated off and gone B?
They definitely could have. Yeah.
Like, that was a long stalemate. I think they could have just gotten out of there, but they were really just trying to wait for the wingman to come back up.
Yep.
But also, I don't know. I'd have to go back and see, because it seemed like they were aware that Coburg was short, but maybe they thought he could have also been spawned, because they could have flipped the site and planted back site too. Like, that was an option, knowing that Ferbs was Shower. I don't know, man. That got entirely too scrappy, and Sad thrive in the chaos there.
Yeah. No, it's definitely one of those situations that felt like there was a chance to rotate. Maybe there was some worry as well about like Ferbs watching the cross through bench, like, especially considering how the wingman was denied the first time. Maybe they just don't feel confident in their ability to, I don't know, hold on towards that mid position. It's kind of weird to say. I don't know. But definitely one that is kind of maybe trying to force the square peg into the round hole by overstaying the welcome. So Sad get a lifeline here. Need to start stringing them together, and that's not the way you start.
No,
Darkness trying to find a timing. He gets caught, and that's going to lead to surely an A plan.
That's spike, Wings. Right there.
Just pure speed onto this A side. Wingman going to get that free easy plant. Cypher set up. Nullified. Maybe Ferbs can get this kill on the flank, though. And he will. Neural theft off now, a real opportunity, as this retake is coming from all angles. TSM ensnared on default.
Oh, and Skarn gets one over the top, so now they can flood onto towards sight. The post flank gets completely isolated, and even though there was a barrier match to try to block off the rotation through the connector, doesn't make a difference once the flank is opened up, plus the neural theft, like you called. Easy drop down from heaven, and TSM just get bottlenecked inside of U-Haul.
And Ferbs is just in fantastic form now that we've gotten over to Bind. Now that he's on this Cypher role as well. He does flex to many different agents, but his Cypher has been particularly impressive. Just being the playmaker there. Pushing all the way through Shower. Really nicely done. Forces TSM onto the eco round now. And if Sad do win the following round, round 18, will be the pivotal one for their comeback chances. This is the one where if you look at the alt orbs, everyone will have their ults online. Economy will be on the line for TSM. So that will be of the utmost importance that Sad win.
Yeah, really good scaling call there in terms of how we foreshadow the rest of this, especially if you're a Sad fan. Which there's no good way of saying, like, sad fan. Like,
no, there really isn't.
I assume that the Sad fans are happy about what's happening, but it's just the way it comes off. Doesn't sound right. But this execute over towards A. Not going to be tested immediately. Kind of surprising to think about that turn. Trailblazer, Dizzy. Oh, goodness. Ferbson gets absolutely melted. I mean, completely stacked up on utility beyond recognition. And now all of a sudden you've got Sim gatekeeping through the defensive spot. I mean, are you kidding? We've got pistols out to play, and we're just not shelling anything. And all of a sudden, TSM wrecked the floor. What was that round?
This has been an interesting game, to say the least. TSM, it's either been we're going in A fast or we're contacting up short. That time they contact and then they go fast. I mean, they push so deep. I love that from Sim. Bad buy. You have the Guardian. You can take a forward position, hold a close angle, catch someone out. Beautiful. Finds that first kill. And then after that, though, the pressing up, facing heaven with the showstopper, GMD swinging through. Just a ton of aggression from TSM late. They go together. They win the duels. Well done from them.
Oy.
Camera taken out.
That's the bullet meets your own foot type situation right there if you're SAD Esports. So now you're back to a limited purchase. You have to pretty much force your way through the rest of this map. And, ooh, Trailblazer through the teleporter. Does get some decent information, but Ferbsa, he tried to win the angle. Does get punished. Darkest at least able to provide one trade. So we'll stay 4v4, but SAD Esports are not able to contest against this spiky thing.
They will have some fantastical for getting back in. Oh, that is a gorgeous combo from TSM.
Fire roasted. And now all of a sudden Kobrick on the flank. He's been seen, and that will be TSM on 12 unless Skarn can catch one here in the corner. It's not the neatest thing I've ever seen, but he does find one. The problem is Dip cannot join him in the pursuit. So he's going to have to pull some sort of a Reddit clip. Not going to work out. And yep, TSM find themselves on their own map point.
Yeah, and at that point, for those remaining two SAD players, do you save your rifles when you're down 11-6? Do you go for it in a 2v4? Neither option feels particularly great, so they try their best, but now relegated to a terrible bye for the final round. Poised one off getting those Seekers activated too. So TSM are in prime position to right the wrongs from Haven. Strong win on the Roman map pick, and then we'll go to the decider, where the loser will be knocked out of the playoffs. Winner still some hopes of making it to the Ascension Tournament if they can clinch that top two with a lower bracket run.
Don't get in my way.
Might be a bit early for SAD, establishing some long B control, but they will of course force Darkus to have to play inside of that octagon area. So for TSM, you sit there and say, okay, cool, let's just take our numbers advantage over towards the A site. Thing is, the trap wires are placed a little bit differently. Skarn could just use that as his contact point and try to swing for a free first blood.
Oh yeah! Monster on the loose!
Comes that Thrash, perfect flash. Onto Skarn the nade as well. Wow, great rocket, but instantly stunned up. That's a crazy exchange of utility, and Poised comes out on top.
I think he actually kind of lines up too, if I'm being honest. Both those X's are in a straight line with one another, so weird interaction with Skarn kind of falling right into the waiting arms of his crosshairs. And now the post plant becomes difficult to manage. 4v3. You've got a Bulldog, a Stinger, and a Sheriff. And SAD Esports are going to deal with Poised on the bench first and foremost. Maybe a chance here, especially with some spam from the boxes. But no, Poised looking for the ace.
Let him get that ace.
Pistol out. What? 7?
What?
Why would you do that? Hey.
That's messed up. To your own IGL? Morale destroyed. What was the point of even winning that map if you're going to close it out like that? Hey. That's messed up. They're going to need to walk away, take a little mental reset after that to get into Sunset. You hate to see it.
Well, they're not going to hate to see it too badly. I mean, it was a convincing map overall, and that does, of course, get us to Sunset map number 3. A fun one, but so far, it has been deadlock controlling all of what we've seen so far in playoffs. We'll see what happens, because we've got Sunset for map number 3, a battleground that neither of these teams are really feeling, I'm sure, super positive about. Some mixed results over the course of the last couple of times they've played it. We're going to have the dash to break everything down, though, when we come back in the backside of the break. face.